Awesome. Welcome to Double E Elevating Entrepreneurs. I'm here's your host and owner, Elizabeth Marie. And I have DiCaprio with us today. And he is the president and CEO of Prince Leaderhouse Law.
Yes.
Which we're excited to talk about all things credit repair, relationships, financial success, mindset, and tips today. You want to go ahead and say hi to everybody?
Hi, how you guys doing out there? Good morning, top of the morning, whatever you celebrate, Grand Rising,
Yeah.
whatever doesn't offend you this morning. How you guys doing? Just happy to be here. Lovely space,
Thank you.
lovely hosts. So
Thank
here we
you.
are.
Happy to have you. So tell us a little bit about your walk into entrepreneurship. What did that look like?
Probably like, most people, I would imagine I just had an issue, and I tried to fix it, myself. So, was married and, came out of divorce, and, I guess, when you marry, you kind of have a team thing going on, and one person does this and one person does that. And once I got divorced, I realized I didn't really build my credit at all. My ex-wife, had great credit even from the beginning. So we kind of just used her credit for everything. And then, when it came time for the separation, I'm like, oh wow, I don't have anything in my name. So like I say, just trying to fix it on my own. And that was kind of like my birth into the credit repair space, because you need it. And I couldn't buy anything, could barely get an apartment, barely got a car. So it's kind of stemmed from that, and just kind of checked into it, got looking at all of the different laws and Fair Credit Act, and things like that. Just trying to learn on my own. So
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about how you got started. Like, what did that look like? Just beginning and opening your business. And what are some obstacles, some hurdles that you've come across along the way, and how have you overcome them?
Well, I always say, for starters, if you repair your own credit, you should start a business. That's my philosophy. I tell that to everybody, and I understand that means I'll have more competition, but that really isn't an issue to me. So if you get to the part where you have to repair your credit, or feeling like you need to, definitely start a business, because somebody around you will need help. Most of us don't have time, and your credit profile is one of those things that you just don't pay attention to until you need it. And so it kind of goes unnoticed until you like, hey, you get into an emergency, and it's like, oh, I need a car, and you find yourself at a car lot, and they're making you pay all these extra down payments and paying all this extra money. So those were the things that I was running into. And I started just trying to see, hey, what does this look like? What does this mean? How does this happen? And your credit report may not be used everywhere, but the credit profile, like, almost anybody can look at it. Almost anybody can look at it. And so it is definitely used all over, and it can get pretty complicated. These different algorithms, these guys at FICO, the guys that started it, they were like mathematicians. So everything is based on like an algorithm. So when we look at algorithms now, we kind of pay attention to the Instagram, the TikToks and stuff like that. But your credit profile is based on that same algorithm, just a bunch of numbers, and your anticipation or your likelihood that if you are extended credit, your likelihood to pay it back. You know what I mean? So that's the algorithm. They look at us as Americans, and I think what's great about it is the guys that put together at FICO, they didn't take race into consideration. You know what I mean? So these are just people and numbers. That's all it is, people and numbers. Race wasn't, they fought hard to not bring race into the equation.
That's good.
So all we're looking at is just, hey, your likelihood to pay, your response, your reaction. If you're in a tight situation, like, what are you gonna do? So, and so that happened. I started learning about that, and then I started my business during COVID.
Yeah, you did. It was a COVID baby.
Yeah, it was a COVID baby. So a lot of things weren't moving when I started my business. So by law, which is, it's kind of like I won't say old law, but kind of old wording where the bureaus have 30 days to respond. You know, so by mail, because it was based on mail. Now you have where you dispute an item, you can do it by fax or you can do it by, you know, online and stuff like that. So it's much faster now, but the old wording was 30 days. And obviously during COVID, you know, mail and all that stuff was shut down. So that 30 days turned into 45, it turned into 60. And so business was a little weird back in 2020 when I started. But, you know, it's come around and it's picked up and yeah, it's a little better.
How did you come up with the name?
You know, once I've seen the need to help people, and I had a lot of people, a lot of my friends just like, man, you know, you're doing credit, I need help. And, you know, I had, you know, like most people, tried to hire some mentors and did the YouTube University thing. And I started realizing to really be legit, you know, I had to have a name, I had to have a business address, I had to have a business bank account, EIN number. And I just wanted to help. And most people that know me know that I'm from LA. I'm a big fan of Kobe and Kobe Bryant. And it was like right before he passed away. And, you know, I'm looking at these videos and I got my TV on and Purple Rain was on TV. I was watching Purple Rain. And so I'm a musician. I love Prince, Michael Jackson, all those people, Tina Turner. And so I said, you know what, I'm just gonna name it Prince, you know. And I said, I'll just name it Prince, like whatever. Just Prince Credit Repair, like I'm good with that. He had the purple, I love purple. I know we, you know, talked about God and everything, and purple is royalty. And so I didn't want to sound too, I'll just say ghetto for lack of a better word. So I said, I'll just throw law in there somewhere. So I just used Prince and that's Leaderhouse, and I said, I'll just throw law on the end. So now I sound like a lawyer or a law company. And it's funny because I looked up, it is actually a Prince law firm. The guy's name is Prince, he's a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah, so I had to throw Leaderhouse in there to kind of throw everything else. But yeah, I needed it, I wanted to be legit, and I didn't really care what the name was. And so, yeah, that's kind of how that happened. Yeah, I just wanted to start right away, and I wanted to be legit, so.
Yeah, I like it. So tell us, what are some common mistakes that people make in relationships when it comes to finances? You said you have some background, you know, having your marriage and stuff like that. What are some mistakes you see people make, and what are some tips you have for them to have more effective, you know, credit and kind of look out for themselves?
So I'll just say twofold. I think that one of the mistakes I feel like that I made in my marriage is trying to build one or the other. I think when, you know, you come together, and, you know, no disrespect to any marriages out there, I still think you come together as a unit, like it's a unit, you become one. But I think technically you should still build like you're two. You know what I mean? Like the wife should be building her credit, the husband should be building their credit. And like you should build separately. You know what I mean? Like you build what you think, you're buying stuff, you're getting different trade lines, you're getting a car in your name, car in my name, you know, things of that nature. I don't think that, I think that was one of the mistakes I see a lot of couples make when it comes to marriage. Nowadays, you should just have your credit right before you get married. To me, that's a prerequisite now. Like, we got bad credit, we got to think about it, you know, especially, you know, and not to demonize it, because, you know, most people spend a lot of money on student loans and, you know, businesses and stuff like that. And, you know, I just feel like when it comes to, you know, being a unit, you should build separately. That's the first thing as it pertains to marriage. And I think if you're single and you're doing it, you should just understand that the process is slow. You know, I think way too many times we try to build way too fast. You know, you got the credit sweeps and the credit entanglements and all these new wording that people are coming up with, and hey, we can get inquiries off in 24 hours, and, you know, just all of this stuff that's out in the world that convolutes the space, and it kind of demonizes the space as well. Like, you know, and, you know, a lot of the I mean, in every industry you have fraudulent companies. I mean, every industry. It's not just credit repair. And just like bad news travels faster than good news.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so but it's very needful. It is a slow process. Like, you should look at it as an investment. It's a very slow process. We shouldn't be thinking, hey, in 3 months I'm gonna undo the 10 years
Yeah.
of bad decisions I've made, you know,
Mm-hmm.
coming out of high school. Like, it's very slow, and we should think about it in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's slow. Let's get all our ducks in a row. Let's get all our names together, all our addresses together, different jobs. Like, you just want to have that, you know, kind of cleared off, you know. So I just think those are two big things, and you know, I think I would do different. Build separate, and then right out the gate, like, always have your eye on your credit report, your credit score, your profile. Like, all of those are very important to just make sure you're looking at daily. Like, I get up in the morning. I mean, I don't like to name names, but I will. I'll just say this: we have the free credit report sites, and you know, and a lot of people think that they're not legit. They are legit, but you just have so many algorithms, and they're just one algorithm out of, I don't know, 15. As long as you're looking at it, I mean, you got places where you can pay for your credit scores. You know, obviously, you can do the free credit score that they give us once a year. That I think now, after COVID, they were giving it to us like once a week or once a month. You get the free credit score. You know? So as long as you're paying attention to it, wherever you're at, you know, as long as you're paying attention to it, I think that's important.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big
Okay.
thing. Yeah, definitely.
What are some things that you want people to have organized when they come to you?
You know, I guess it's kind of a hard question to ask, because my business is no judgment. So I almost expect you to come to me, you know, drunk and disorderly, you know, for lack of a better term. I almost expect you to come to me that way, much like how you go to the hospital. You know, I don't in my, you know, I'm black, so in my community, especially the men, we don't go to the hospital unless we're dying. You know, we got to be half dead, and if we can sleep it off, we're not going. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same concept. You know, people come to me when they have issues, and everybody's different. You know, and I have a judge-free zone. Hey, you know, come to me, whatever it is. You know, I have different questions. You know, I think one of the most interesting things I've dealt with is that a young lady, you know, just had questions about her credit profile after her husband passed away. You know, and it's a very sensitive time, very sensitive moment, and you know, you're stuck between mourning the loss and then still moving on from a financial standpoint. So, like I said, it's no judgment, you know, and I just tried to tell her, like, there's certain things that, you know, the creditors may come after you. I mean, if you guys are on the credit card together, you know what I mean? The credit company still may want you to pay those things. If you're a co-signer on like a student loan, you know, the creditors may come after you for that. Most of the things are kind of like a wash, but there are certain instances where the creditor may come after you if there is a loss of a spouse, and they may want you to pay, you know, for those lost funds. So, you know, but yeah, judge-free zone for sure, man. I have people that I went to elementary with that are my clients, and I'm just, you know, people at church or people that are looked at as important pillars of our community, people that have voices in our community, you know, and it's like, I have a business, you know, so this is not me saying, hey, don't listen to that person, they got bad credit. Like, I don't, that has nothing to do with me. I get the profile, and then I just go to work. Like, it doesn't matter to me who you are. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some simplistic things people can do now to have a better credit?
You know, there is a lot. I mean, it's a lot you can do. First of all, like I said, you got to pay attention to it. That's number one. I think if people would just pay attention to it, even if it's what we would call bad. I mean, I guess poor credit, bad credit is. I think the national average is like 702 or 712. Okay. Yeah, so that's like the national average of, you know, us, like Americans. That's our national average, I believe. It might have gone up. It used to be like 698, and so now it's like 712, which is weird because to get a loan on a house, you need like a 580 or 620.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like considered subprime, what we would call subprime, but it's bad credit. So they basically say, hey, you can buy a house with bad credit. You know, if you think about it that way. Because I say, hey, if I can get approved at 580 or 620, I can actually buy a house with bad credit. You know, that's weird to me to think about it, but that is, you have salespeople in every industry. So if they're pushing, hey, we'll give you this extension, even though your credit is really considered bad, but I'm still gonna give you the money. You know, and so I always think that's what I think. The funny thing that I always see a lot is the buy here, pay here lots. You know, they're advertised, oh, your job is your credit. And it's like, no, your job is not your credit. Like, it's not at all. It's not like your credit is your credit. Your job is not your credit. But those are different things that, you know, you see. And I just think, first of all, just looking at it, like, that's so simple. Getting up, looking at it, paying attention, hey, this bill isn't mine, or this bill is mine. You know, just taking ownership of what you have. One of the things I think that kind of convoluted the space is the, you know, having an original creditor. Like say you owe Target credit card. And Target is like, I'm getting tired of reaching out to this person, they won't pay it. So they sell your debt to like a third party company or a collector. And I think one of the common things that people misunderstand is that even though you had the original loan or original credit card with Target and they sold it, that doesn't mean you don't have to pay it. Even though it's not, I think people think, oh, I had this with Target and I don't have to pay anymore. No, Target hired this company to collect their money.
Yeah.
Either they hire this company to collect their money, or they do. So you have like debt buyers and debt collectors.
Okay.
So a debt collector is like a bounty hunter. You know what I mean? It's what it is. It's like, so let's just say the sheriff department is saying, hey man, I'm too busy. This person has skipped bail, they skipped town, and I want to hire you. I'm gonna say, hey, if you catch them, you know, I'm gonna give you 10 grand. So that's like a debt collector.
Okay.
You know, we're gonna split the money. They owe me 20 grand. If you catch them, I'm gonna give you 10. So now you go out as a debt collector. You're knocking on doors. You're showing up at picnics and their job. And you know, I'm the sheriff. You know, I'm not doing none of that. You know, I'm catching real criminals somewhere. You know, so you bring me back this debt collector. Hey, here go this guy. Great, I'm gonna give you 10 grand. I serve this person. That's a debt collector. So now you have my authority. You know what I mean? Even though you're not a sheriff, you have my authority to say, hey, you owe this money. And I think people think that just because it's you and not me, oh, I don't have to pay. I don't know that person. That's not DiCaprio, you know what I mean? But no, you still have to pay that person. And so that's a debt collector. A debt buyer is somebody that says, hey, I have a business and I'm gonna buy all these loans from you, you know, for pennies on a dollar. Okay, great. Target say, hey, I'm gonna sell these to you. You still owe that. Like that debt is still owed. And I think people think because it's not Target knocking on their door, it's not Sprint knocking on their door, it's not Home Depot knocking on their door, they think that, hey, no, I'm not paying that person. But that's so untrue. That debt has been sold and you are still obligated to pay it. You know, so now, I mean, if it was me at that point, I'm thinking of some type of settlement at like 50%, you know. So if I owe them, you know, 5 grand, I'm trying to settle for in the 2,500 space. You know, I'm at least gonna try to negotiate. But I think that's one big thing that people seem to not understand. Like, you gotta take ownership. Like we have to take ownership. We're adults, and if it's you, you know, take ownership if it's you. You know what I mean? And so, what I do in my company is not about just trying to say, hey, it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is just get clarification of your bill. So let's say, hey, you know, you owe Home Depot, or you stop paying Home Depot and you owe them $295. And they send you a bill and say, hey, you owe us $350. And you're like, no, I don't, I owe you $295. So that kind of what my business is saying, hey, I need you to look at this and clarify. My client is saying, no, this bill actually, we owe it to you, but it's not $350, it's $295. And so then the bureaus, I want them to do an investigation to say, hey, this is what it is. And so they have to do an investigation. They take that $350 off because it's wrong. You know, and then we can start talking about the 295. Once you get that taken off our credit, then we talk. So that's kind of more or less, what I do. But just paying attention to it. It's big. It really is, because a lot of fraud will be you can kind of catch fraud when it starts. And so I got a cousin, somebody in California opened up, got like a car in his name, an apartment, and it's like if you're not looking at it, it'll just get bigger and bigger. Because you're not saying, hey, it's not me. So somebody opens an apartment in your name in New York, and you look at your credit twice a year. Somebody's really living and they're you.
Yeah.
And so that's a big thing. It happens very common, especially with kids nowadays. Kids nowadays, that people will take advantage of that. And I think one of the bureaus, you guys have to look it up. I forget the wording, but they will let you start a credit report for your kid. Like, you can start it. You can call them and start it with their social security number. You don't have to put anything on it. The idea is to start it and then freeze it. So then you have those outside people or scammers that can't take advantage of it, because now it's frozen. You know what I mean? So really, like, the kids and the elderlies are the people that get taken advantage of in that space, because kids don't get a credit report. Once you get older, I guess you don't care, right? Or maybe everything is paid for. So, but yeah, that's real important. I think that's pretty good. It's a good idea, depending on what space you're in. To definitely, if that's something you want to do with your kids, the bureaus allow you to do it. Or you just kind of start their profile and then you just freeze it on. Yeah. So,
that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. Excuse me, my allergies. No, that's great. So in terms of someone wanting to work with you, what does that look like? First, I'm a business, but I want to qualify you. Like I said, most people just aren't looking at it. I can tell you right now, it's somebody that's listening or will be listening, that they don't need they don't need a credit repair company. You know what I mean? They just need to pay their credit cards down. That's really, you'd be amazed at how powerful just paying your credit cards down. Let's just pay them down. It's a funny algorithm that people use, and people will say, hey, is it 10%? Is it 30%? And it's both, depending on who's pulling your credit. I think so. There's a vintage algorithm, and then there's a FICO algorithm. And FICO has, like, I don't know, I think they're up to like 10T now. It's like a 10 and a 10T. So most of the people use like FICO 2, 3, I'm thinking like 8. Okay.
So you have,
what
like,
does that mean?
So it's just different algorithms that they look at. So the credit card company has an algorithm. The car company has an algorithm that they look at. The mortgage company has an algorithm that they look at. So everything is everybody uses something different, So first of all, obviously they want to give you the extension of credit. This is not a. Excuse me, I got your.
No, it's okay.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, so they want to extend credit to you, and I think that's what people don't understand. It's not to demonize you. They want to extend credit to you, but they just use a certain algorithm to do it. So let's say, for instance, like you might be able to get a car for like 3% interest. I think a lot of student loans posted there like maybe 4%, 5% interest on there. So credit cards be like 19 to 20, 21. So there's just different algorithms that they use. Credit card companies take a lot of risk, honestly. If you have a credit card with 25 grand on it and you ran it up, like, I can't come back and say, hey, give me that latte you bought. Like, I can't repossess the latte.
Right.
I can't repossess, maybe you went on a date and I can't repossess that steak dinner. So it's a loss. So they try to kind of recruit their money up front.
Okay.
They want to recruit that money back up front. It's not, if I default on a car loan, they can just, come take my, Malibu or whatever, they can just come get it, or maybe resell it, but they can't resell groceries.
Right.
on a credit card.
Right.
So you take but just paying that down really helps out a lot. So what I do, I have them come over. I take a look at the report. We just go over it line by line for the most part. And I'm just really asking, hey, do you know what this is? Hey, do you know? And then sometimes people don't know what bills are. They're like, I don't know what this is. I've never lived there.
Mm-hmm.
You might have an address or a bill in Iowa or Oklahoma. You're like, I've never been there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so, it's very broad because let's just say, like just common names, like even common Hispanic names or Jose Hernandez or, just those put together. I don't know, James Jackson or something like that, like common black names and, things of that nature. So, I mean, how many Chris Jacksons are there in the world?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's like how many, whatever, Jose's or, Juans or, whatever are in the world. I know, so it's like you have those combinations and those variations. And if you have two people with the same name, one thing that happened with me is me and my dad have the same name. And then I cursed my son and named him the same thing too. So when I was younger, I had bills on my credit that were actually my dad's. Yeah, so it's like I started behind the 8 ball because of that. And so it's the same concept. You look at your credit and you have these people with the same names and somehow it gets tatted over to you. And it's not you, but now you got to pay for it. And if you're not paying attention to it, it's going to affect your scores. And so really just like I say, looking at it, definitely paying your credit card bills down because my work is on the back end. I'm challenging everything that's already happened. So you as a client have to open up new lines of credit. Whatever that looks like, secure credit cards and things of that nature. I like anything that's backed by a bank. So you got a lot of stuff in the space like jewelry stores and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of those. I'm not a big fan of paying for that. I think it's another, like you can get like the rent. If you pay rent, they put that on your credit. I don't like that. I don't like those things. I like avenues that are backed by bank. Get your credit card from the the big companies, the Bank of Americas and the Wells Fargo's and stuff like that. To me, that's the goal because it's about relationships. So if I got a credit card with this company and now I want to refinance my car, I can't refinance my car with a jewelry store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's important to not just load up your profile trying to get the score to go up. You know what I mean? You just have to take it slow, gain relationships. If you can get if you're gonna be with this bank, look to get a mortgage, look to refinance a car, look to get a savings account, look to get a personal loan. All of that's important. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What are some other good ways people can build credit?
Really just that secure card. Well, it just depends on where you are. Like I say, first thing, pay down those credit cards. Like I said, I can do my part, and and if you hire me to do my part, I will. But if your credit cards are super high, 95% utilization, I could clear your credit. And if you got a $30,000 credit card and you use 28 of it, it's not like that's gonna hurt you. It's really gonna hurt really bad. Like probably, I don't like to get into points because they're not tit for tat, but I have clients that pay their credit cards off and they gain 100 points. They gain 80 points. Like I haven't done nothing. You done all the work. You know what I mean? Like you done all the work. So that is that's most important. And then it's you're trying to build like these different stools. It's like a stool with all these legs. And so you got your card trade line. You got the credit card trade lines. You got installment loans. Maybe you're paying off furniture. So you got all these things working for you, and you just want them to be positive. That's really, you just want them to be positive, So credit cards there's one of those things that you just want to have emergencies. Like my credit cards mostly are for emergency. Daughter called, hey, I want to go to cheerleading. Okay, boom, I'm swiped $600. Then I just pay it off. I'm not really using. I have a credit card that I use because it has cash back. Then normally at the end of the year, I've built up, about $400 worth of just free money, and I just cashed out, and then it's like, just